Good morning and welcome to Jasiri. This is again a Tuesday morning, a lot going on, and that means we have a lot of conversation. But just to give you a heads up, we will be joining the closing finale of the Niger Delta Sports Festival, which is happening right now. It's to commemorate 25 years of the existence of the Niger Delta Development Commission. Over 3,000 athletes precipitated. Over 3,000 athletes competed in 17 sports, and it is closing today in Uyo. So once the closing ceremony starts, we'll be going to Uyo Live to see how that plays out. But I have the ladies with me. Is that better?
I was just participation.
Nice, yeah?
Yeah.
My darling, please, can you say that?
Please, my boss says precipitated.
This whole situation going on, I don't just understand.
You don't understand what these ladies are doing.
Situation, I don't get it. Yeah, Atolia has been really, she's been in her element since. She's been channeling First Lady since yesterday.
Yes.
Oh my
And
God.
she's continuing the tradition.
Yesterday?
I don't know what this hair is called because we know to lose all her alter ego comes with her wigs.
I haven't given this one a name yet.
There's a First Lady thing going on. Like today, the pants.
It's Jessica Pearson.
Yeah, that's what you were saying.
Yeah, he said Jessica Pearson. Oh my
Don't worry, I'll post
God.
the pictures.
She was a stunner. It wasn't just the dress, it was the color, it was the design.
Colors, everything.
It was just
It was the point.
It was giving.
yes,
You
it
were
was giving-
fired. I said what I said.
yes.
Yes, exactly.
First Lady vibe.
Everybody loved the dress, so.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Except for my husband, that to wake up.
He loved it.
Instead of him to say from the beginning, I like the dress. First thing I hear is, Auntie, you bought another one, eh? I said, yes, and there's one more coming today.
No, it was the way you woke up to look at you like.
No, I think we should all have a Tolu day where we all
No, don't
dress
have a
like
Tolu
that.
day. We should do a Tolu once said. That's the one I want to do.
Hey, Tolu said this situation.
This situation right here is not working
Don't
for
touch
me.
me. Don't touch me. I'll handle it. Go, 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 go,
Go, go, go, go, go.
It's okay. We have serious matters to deal with. Don't mind these women here.
Yeah.
We have serious matters. So let's go to the serious matters. We have a few stories coming up that I want to take. We brought back that story from Friday that had Lola in. She was ready to fight somebody, but you have to find out what. If you missed the show on Friday, I don't know what you were doing, but we brought you back that fire. Yeah. But first, we start with a look at some of the protests that happened yesterday. Yesterday was a day of protests nationwide, some of them connected and others not necessarily so. In Abuja, there were roadblocks set up along the Yanya-Maraba axis and roads also leading to the Federal Capital Territory. We spoke to our correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim in Abuja, who unfortunately at the end of the day was also tear-gassed, as well as our camera woman. We have, I think, about 3 or 4 camera women in the New Central organization. Our camera woman was also tear-gassed in Abuja yesterday. And that visual you were just seeing was the arrest of an activist known as Flag Boy. He became very popular during the NSARS movements because he was showing up in different places carrying the Nigerian flag with different sayings on it. And it became sort of an iconic. A few of his pictures became iconic and quite related to the movement. So that was his arrest yesterday, apparently, in Abuja. We also know a number of other people, I think about 2 or 3 other people were also arrested in Abuja yesterday. In Lagos, the police prevented the protesters from marching to the Lagos State Assembly complex, where they had intended to submit a letter containing their demands. But the march did take off at Underbridge Ikeja, stretched for a while. We had our correspondent, Omoni Igbalani, on the scene in Ikeja following the marchers yesterday. Then we go to Port Harcourt in Rivers State. In Port Harcourt in Rivers State, security operatives also at the end of the day ended up firing tear gas to disperse those who were marching. Our correspondent Biola Festus was also in Port Harcourt giving us updates on that. Plateau State recorded quite a low turnout. There wasn't really much of a march or protest in Plateau State as well as in Borno. But the protest, so we know that the protest did not take place, or a protest did not take place in Benue, Kano, Taraba, Kogi, Sokoto, and others. And let's not forget that the one in Port Harcourt was also then attached or linked to Bring Back Sim. So there was also a Bring Back Sim march or protest in which some people were demanding the return of the suspended governor of Rivers State, Simlai Fubara. So it was a day of protest yesterday, many of them making the news. Lola raised a really interesting question when we saw that tear gas had been fired in Abuja. This was before we found out that tear gas was also fired in Port Harcourt as well, as to people have the constitutional rights, and if there is no violence, if it's a peaceful march, why does it appear to be that it's our security operatives that sometimes bring the violence to these situations?
It's so difficult to analyze that because we deal with power oppression. We use power to oppress, and because Nigerians don't like wahala, we just want to come out any time. Nigerians will take off. So they use that to oppress us and use that to kind of silently threaten us. Who are you to? Once you hear the crack of a gun, or once you just see that something funny is going on, you will take off. And Nigerians are just taking off, not because of anything, but primarily for fear of their lives.
Yeah, fear of their lives, because I wish we had a little bit of Kenyan spirit in us, because I've seen Kenyans push through even water cannons, all sorts of things. And I think Nigerians, sometimes we really value our lives. But I don't blame them, because we've seen our prison services. And in Nigeria, you might just be taken and nobody might ever hear about you again. They might never know where you were taken, and you don't know the conditions in which you will be put. So sometimes if you have seen some of those extreme hardships or the way our own system work, in quotes, it's better you run straight to your mother's laps so that there's no wahala.
It's a very true statement. Let's also remember what some of the protesters, particularly here in Lagos, were demanding for. They wanted the immediate repeal. Okay, before that, let's look at the statement from the police. Catherine, we talked about this yesterday, and the police seem to have been upset that that Nigerians wanted to protest, which is their constitutional right, on Monday, April the 7th, which the police had said was now National Police Day. They were upset that protests and march were going to, quote unquote, I'm going to quote again, rubbish and malign the image of the Nigerian police and the nation at large. We now told them that, guy, your people rubbish and malign the image all by themselves. Unprovoked.
As long as you're wearing that black uniform.
Because even in the papers yesterday, I saw Bright's, is it Delta State? SP Bright's Edafe, I think it is. There are about 4 or 5 police officers that had been taken to the CP's office in Delta State. I'll confirm it's Delta State. Because they roughed up a young man.
Yes, I did see
so who was maligning and rubbishing image there?
The black uniform.
It feels like they have a timetable. You do your own today, tomorrow I do my own, and then every day the police is just on the news for something very ridiculous. And so you saying that we're trying to tarnish your image on you, it's like saying you guys are spoiling our day. Today is supposed to be our day, and there's no, you cannot tell aggrieved Nigerians when to protest. If they choose a particular day to protest, you cannot stop them.
Those are the things that I really don't understand, because you're telling us that we have a right to do something, and yet you stand against it being done. So where is the balance?
You say, this is the kind, you say, people are talking, police, you self you are talking. Do you understand? No, let's be honest. If we want to go on the streets and we do a JOTS, for example, and we're focusing on the people's feeling or the temperature, gauge people's temperature where the police is concerned. Anything they say will not shock any Nigerian, whether it's good, if it is good, if there can be anything good, like can anything good come out of Nazareth, or if it is bad. The police on their own, you go on the streets, there are police officers who are robbing you blind, who are rude, who are jumping into your vehicles. Is that part of them enforcing their jobs or enforcing their work? Let's be honest. Police, not be you now.
Did you see a video that was viral on social media where a police officer was in the car, like maybe it was like an Uber or any of these hailing cabs, and the woman at the back was recording. She was literally screaming as the police officer was dragging the wheel with the driver. She was saying, please, are we going to die? Help! She was screaming out of the car. She was recording from the back seat. I was like,
I think Nigerians on that police day, say you're celebrating a day, Nigerians should have just...
No, but I've seen police, they'll be sweeping though.
No, it's okay.
At different levels, they're trying to do community engagement. And they're trying to make it different. So that story from Delta State, I was right, it was Delta State. SP Bright tweeted about it, that the Commissioner of Police in Delta State ordered the detention, while the team leaders who are senior police officers are also to be queried, and there will be orderly room trial that's to commence yesterday, Monday. While the evidence is obvious, the evidence of the guy assaulted can also help to reach a deserving judgment, because they were apparently assaulting a young man caught on video that's been put out on the internet. don't come to Nigerians and say we're the ones maligning and tarnishing the image of police. If Nigerian police are doing, and they are doing some good, because there's a story we're going to take that highlights that, but I've always said it, the best way for you to change the reputation of the Nigerian police is the encounters that Nigerians have with police officers day in and day out. Once those encounters change, you don't need PR. You don't need to pay.
We will be your PR manager.
It for you. And we have had situations where people have talked about, oh, this police officer helped me, but it should not be one in a dozen. It should not be one a month. We need to see daily activities and daily change.
I've been, because of educational purposes, I've been on the Lagos Ekiti road. It's not you people that should be talking, really. It shouldn't be them, because the police all the time, they just kind of put their foot in it. You're stopped on the road, you're asked to come down from your vehicle, you're just doing you anyhow, until they just feel like, okay, they're not going to get anything from this one. Okay, just be going, your own is too much. You are just a troublesome person. You are just... Really, what Tolu said, what the ladies have said on this table, it's not hard. Just change your attitude to Nigerians on the street on a daily basis. Your PR, it will wash your sins away.
You'll be surprised.
And it's going to take time, to be honest, to repair the relationship. Yes. So the fact that you're sweeping the road today, or you're cooking, you're frying a car tomorrow, it will not repair your image immediately. You have to give it time. And people have to find justice. And that's the situation in Delta State. 7 police officers. 7. I counted again to be sure. But as we talked about protests, let's take a look at 1 or 2 things that people had to say in regards to why they came out.
He's still coming back, sir.
So one of the protest leaders here in Lagos said, again, as I said, they're demanding the repeal of the Cybercrime Act, the reversal of the suspension of the governor of River State, removal of the emergency rule. There was a third one, and the stop to demolitions in Lagos. So apparently some of those who have been affected by demolitions in Lagos also joined the Lagos March yesterday. So the guy also said it's not going to be a luta continua, that they've been giving warnings to the government, and it seems government is not hearing that. Eventually it's going to be a luta infinitum. And that struck me.
I'm so happy that if you look at the caliber of people that are joining the protest, those are women, everyday women. If we really investigate those women, they're probably market women, people that these things
petty traders
on a daily basis. We forget that the hierarchy in Nigeria is, in fact, all the lines are blurred. Anybody now, look at all of us. Before, I would never go to market. My first daughter used to go to market to buy things. When I give her money now, I'm like, what did you buy?
As in,
my sister.
When my nanny brings it up, I'm like, what is this?
I had to shed off my celebrity outfit and go to market. Now, if you go to the market, maybe I had a list before. I have to mix and match in my head and say, okay, we need this more. This will serve us better. Yesterday, Beauty and I were going home. We had to buy meat. Imagine how much quantity of meat we bought for 25,000 naira. We bought it from 2 tables. So that maybe you know how you want to buy? We bought some piece for 14 or 15,000 this place. Beauty was pricing on another table like 10,000. Just to see if we add everything together, it will just come and see Mommy Ara. Why will Mommy Ara but she slice? No, in
fact, at this point, you don't even need to do a chunk of meat. You know how when you're making that should be doing now.
Yes, so that you would feel as if your meat portion.
Yes.
Before that, I'll put some fish. I priced croaker. Like
you're still pressing fish.
A kilo of croaker, they said is 6,000 naira. That means even Titus has more power than Croker.
Titus.
Croker.
I'm happy I like onions because one beef, one whole onion, so that it's.
But do you know how much onions is now, my darling?
It's not better than
But my mom's onions has come down. My mom is stockpiling for me, so I just need to find a way to bring everything from Okopa.
But when all these things comes together, you know, on this show, we'll tell you as it is.
Yeah.
These are women from different stratas, and you know that every one of us is facing the same heat that you are all facing. So when people say, hello, celebrity, and then I say, we're all living. If we decide to do only grocery shopping, all of us will be out of house and home. Trust me. That you go to the grocery store to buy your meat, and they weigh it, and you can't survive.
Don't tell me.
You can't tell you. This last Monday, we gathered money and bought mango by baskets to share. Because sometimes sharing is the only way to go.
Yes, it's the way forward.
Maybe all of us will gather, buy crayfish in a bag and just share.
No, you know, I wasn't.
Yeah, hold that conversation. Hold that conversation. All right, ladies, we're going to take a quick break. We have some more stories to get into because, yes, as we may be talking about the police this morning, there's something that the police has done that we also must applaud them for and shine a spotlight on the... Which one is... We're going on a break. We'll be right back.
Very interesting day we've been having so far. So please do join our conversation on our social media platforms. We are at News Central TV everywhere. And of course, you know, we're domiciled on Go TV, channel 23, and of course on DSTV. We got you everywhere. Now, to the Lagos State Police Command story. They have confirmed to us that the rescue of 11 victims and arrest of these individuals involved in operating a baby factory in Ijegun area of Lagos State. The State Police Command spokesperson, Benjamin Hundeyin, shared this information when he noted that the illegal operations was uncovered on Saturday following a tip-off, but also explained how the police operatives swiftly mobilized to the scene, where they arrested the operators of the facility, Miriam Vincent, along with two of our accomplices, one Ruth and Ujunwa Ifeanyi. He said that during the raid, they saved 7 women and children in that particular raid. Sorry, my God.
Bless you. Aged mama.
Blessings, you brought that to this table. You brought that to this table.
This particular prescription seems to be my weakness.
It was explained to me inside the makeup room. You brought that to this table. When we tell you that Jesse don't need respect, that Jesse doesn't have any respect.
They don't.
He said during the raid that 7 women and 3 children were rescued.
Amen.
Wow.
This is my weakest prescription.
Please don't use it again. Thank you, ma.
You chose it.
Okay, speaking of aged, the adult victims have been identified as 24-year-old Precious, Magdalene 25, 23-year-old Adobe, 23-year-old Princess, 25-year-old Ifeanyi, and 26-year-old Amaka, while the children rescued include a 7-year-old boy named Destiny, a 5-year-old girl named Miracle, and a 2-year-old girl named Success. Now, Hundeyin confirmed that all rescued individuals are currently receiving appropriate care and support, while the suspects during interrogation confessed to abducting their victims from different parts of the state for the purpose of running a baby factory. Highlighting the activities of the command, the last 2 weeks, Hundeyin said a total of 39 suspects were engaged in various crimes, including murder, kidnapping, armed robbery, rape, child stealing, vandalism, illegal operation of a baby factory, illegal possession of firearms, and illicit drugs were arrested. He concluded by saying that the investigation was still ongoing and that the suspects would be charged accordingly.
Wow. You know, it's been a while since we've heard a bit. There was a time that stories about baby factories were raining.
Yeah.
Particularly, unfortunately, a lot of them in the southeast and south part. But it's something that happens across Nigeria. And it felt like, okay, maybe with all the raids we were seeing, that had gone down. It's just that these people most likely have changed tactics. So now the guys, one of the suspects has said that they kidnapped from around the state. That they would kidnap them, abducting their victims from different parts of the state for the purpose of running a baby factory. You're kidnapping them to lock them up, to rape them, to get them pregnant
And sell them.
to have the babies, to sell the babies and then to start the process all over again.
Okay.
So when we start hearing, it's almost every week you're on social media and somebody's saying a family member was last seen, a friend was last seen. Even just adequately investigating adoptions is a problem. That's where we start. Adopting from different parts of the states. And I don't think everybody's coming from Lagos State.
No. I don't think so, because Lagos is even more, we are more open-eyed in Lagos. But imagine if you're coming from the hinterlands, other villages around Lagos, or it's environs,
You would think we're more open-eyed, though. You would think.
In Lagos.
Yes.
But the thing is,
you can't compare.
I'm just wondering that we have to. I don't like to do this citizens arrest thing, but we need to be more conscious of our environment, because some of these places are hidden, interior places. When you see a flat and you see more than 7 people staying there, and every time you see across your window, you're always seeing pregnant young girls. Yeah. There are so many things that the police cannot do on their own. If this was not a tip-off, I doubt if they would ever have found it. Yeah. Because in the interior of Ijegun, how would you know that such a thing was happening?
They'll bring them in under the cover of night.
Yeah, of course. Keep
them
their nannies. Before you know it, you just see one little young girl with big stomach. You see 5. Your antenna should raise up.
Well, the police cannot do this on their own.
They can't.
No, and we have to be doing what they call community parenting, whether we like it or not, because we say it could be you. I mean, in whatever position that is. We all say, God forbid, it's not my portion. But I think when we're younger, how they would leave you with your neighbor, even though that has different layers, but there would be that. Mommy Bazooka is watching while I'm going to the market quickly. Yeah. If Mommy Bazooka sees you somewhere without your mom seeing you, you are in trouble. You by yourself, you will go home and use your mouth to tell your parents what you did. So I think we're losing that with westernization and with digitalization with Gen Z.
Don't look at me. I'm an advocate for community parenting because I mean, in this age and time, you will tell a young person something, and then the young person will insult you. The parents will insult you. Like, it's none of your business. How is that your business? Exactly. So it's literally going extinct, and it's more at our detriment than people realize. And
then we also need to teach our children from home, actually. Not because someone offers you biscuit, you follow.
Yes,
or not because someone gives you attention, you follow. Oh, come with me, I want to show you a toy. Or you must teach contentment. Within the purviews of your species, you must teach the child. Teaching doesn't end in school. It doesn't end in... That's how you talk to the child. It's conversation. You don't see the child and say, okay, from today, don't follow. It's conversation.
I've seen Tolu would say something. She draws her attention and she puts labels to it, and I love it. She said, grooming is very dangerous. We have to teach our children that even the closest people around them can be dangerous. Yes. Because most of the things that happen to children especially, it does not happen from complete strangers. It happens within people that they are comfortable with. So it's very, very important that we don't teach our children to fear strangers only. But to be suspicious of even people that they are very close
and be very self-aware. My daughter told me something, said, Mom, the world could have been a much better place, because you look at someone who claims they like you, like your friend, and you ask yourself, do they really like you? What do they really like about you? She went deep that day, and I was looking at her and said, well, child, welcome to adulting. I'm happy you're thinking this way, because it also sets you up for you knowing yourself. Once you know yourself and know that you don't need validation from anybody externally, you know that alone, you've done yourself a solid.
She's in the PCR, she's going to hate it, but Corday fought with her best friend last week, and their makeup, of course, their 9-year-old girls are going to fight and make up every other 3 weeks, but I've used it as an opportunity to talk about personal boundaries and how people treat you and how you accept certain treatments from people. And so I'm constantly reinforcing that, Mommy, I've heard. I'm like, you're going to hear it again. So it enters. And I want to make a point, because what you talked about earlier was like stranger danger, and then Lolo talked about, and that's what they were preaching in the U.S. When I was growing up there, it was stranger danger, be afraid of strangers. But then, as she said, the research shows you that the majority comes from people family that you know, friends that you know. Even these abductions, it can be somebody that they knew that said, oh, I have a job for you somewhere, and they led them to something, or someone recommended recommend somebody to them or somebody's friend. You know, remember how it all happened with, I think it's Edo State in particular, with the sex trafficking and how the women and the boys, yes, and how they end up in Italy. It's always a woman who comes back, who people in the village or people in the community know, who says, I'm going to take care of your daughter, I'm doing well now. It is, we're not saying strangers don't do it, but there's a lot of activity with people who are known. And so we have to teach our kids. These girls were abducted, kidnapped. So now I'm thinking to myself, how long have they been kidnapped? What were their families able to do in being able to look for them? We don't really have like a national missing persons database where family can lodge a police report, it goes on the bulletin, it goes somewhere. It's always something, you know, and it just makes you think about all the number of people who disappeared. So we're dealing with organ trafficking. We're dealing with people being abducted for baby factories. We're dealing with sex trafficking. The ones who believe in ritual or not, we're dealing with ritual killings. We're dealing with bandits and terrorists. And then sometimes you also have to be afraid of the police who are meant to serve you and keep you, or other security. It's like you step out every day, you should be extremely thankful when you're able to come back.
And to be honest, it's not always, this awareness is not just about, it's not just for the children to be afraid of strangers or even people within. Sometimes it's also for the parents, because there's the unintentional desire for success that makes them push their children. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are not even looking for the girls because they feel like, okay, she's one auntie, I told her to go and stay with the auntie so that she can work with them. So it's not all the time that is, I understand the situation of things, but sometimes before you send your child to go and stay with that auntie or to go and work with, so do your research very well, because most of them, they might not even, they might just think that they might not hide in plain sight.
Many people will tell you poverty cannot Google.
Oh, it's my mother's sister. What can she? I mean, that's not my mom. Oh, it's my father's brother. Yo, that's my uncle. I mean, but listen, it's those ones, like Blessing says, just be careful of those close to you. Suspect everybody if you must. And know when the air has changed, know when it is weird. And that's why I say you have to. Our children must be self-aware. I think that alone is everything. Once you're self-aware, you can sniff it coming a mile away.
So we have reactions to this, but we'll take a quick time out before we take those reactions and then move on to the next story. Stay with us. I don't even know what to say. Lola, are you going to share? Can we share? Go ahead.
You know, we always say that sometimes the enablers of these places are sometimes the people that buy these babies from them. Because if there's no market, if there's no demand, why would there be supply? And it's because the demand is high. That's why you're seeing all these mushroom baby factories spring up in funny places. And funny enough, they have a network. How these babies find their ways to people's homes is unbelievable. I said, a friend told me a story like 2 years ago that this woman has honestly been believing God for a child. She hasn't had a baby for like maybe 12, 13 years of her marriage. So maybe somebody did suggest to her. And her own was a bit extreme. You know this thing they do? They call it phantom pregnancy.
Yes.
You've heard of it?
Yeah.
You know, she had done a bit of that to a point that she even wore a baby bump. You know how she would tell her husband that, I don't want to, the doctor said, I'm a high risk. Of course, he's a high risk because she had been waiting for so long. So, of course, there was no doubt, nothing about intimacy between them. She was sleeping in a separate room. She said she's uncomfortable. She was wearing baby bumps.
Progressively
getting bigger. You know, by the time she would have the baby conveniently, she was just at her mother's. It was when the baby factory was busted. And, of course, you know, police and investigation, they traced it to her doorstep. Her husband could not believe his eyes. Do you know the massive baby dedication they had? In fact, they said the man divorced her. I think he's a Muslim. They said he just said, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you.
And he's well within his rights in that kind of situation.
Well within his rights, you know. So if there is no thriving industry, and the people that these babies find their way to, they're not poor people.
They're not poor people. Do you know how expensive these babies are?
Enlightened people that know the implication of what they're doing.
You said, you hit the nail on the head. You said, if there's no demand, there won't be any supply. They say, okay, so sometimes the adoption policies and the steps in different states in Nigeria are varying. Sometimes it's tighter in some states than other states. So in all of that, some people, because you know, we as a people, we are not a very patient people. So instead of you waiting to go through the proper steps and the processes, you decide to go the legal route, and this is what it is.
And this is why the process is even cumbersome, because imagine going to an adoption agency and then years later you find out that they actually bought the baby from the baby factory. You wouldn't be happy. That's why I think the adoption agencies make
They need to there's a lot of background checks. They have to, because it's not just giving the baby to anybody. Why some of these bottlenecks are there is to determine whether you really do want a baby. Because some people might just think they want a baby and they really do not. They're going to investigate you as a couple. That's why they usually don't give babies to single people. They want the baby to grow up in a more wholesome, balanced home. So they want to be sure that you really do desire the baby and that both of you want it.
And I also hear that sometimes it's quite hard if you want to adopt as a first-time parent, because some people now eventually get pregnant with their own child and they're
abandoned.
And that's the point I wanted to make. There was a thread about it recently as well about, unfortunately, children being returned to orphanages or to adoption agencies when these women or these families eventually have their own children, or the children staying and then being mistreated because they're not the biological child. But there was something that Catherine talked about, and I want us to dig into that. And it's also about the conversation around having kids. One of the reasons people are using baby factories is not necessarily just the process, is that they're hiding. They don't want people to know that the child is not theirs. I had a relative who went through adoption process, and I saw how cumbersome it is. They did home visits, you had to do references and everything. But eventually she got the child, you know, and that child has been with her for years now, and everything is fine. But at the end of the day, so you want to do things the right way. There's orphanages, there's IVF, there's surrogacy, there's adoptions. But why jump all 1, 2, 3, 4 legal ways and go to baby factories? Because people don't want people to know they're not having their own kids.
But it's the stigmatization that is attached to infertility.
So we need to have, there's a base conversation as to why we have baby factories and why they seem to never go away. And it's not to say it's a justification, but we need to have a conversation. You get married, and at the reception, they're telling you in 9 months' time, we're going to come back and celebrate baby. And then people are sitting, and then 9 months, they don't have a child. It becomes a problem. It's a pressure. People are going to do tests. Maybe the husband wants to do tests, the wife doesn't want to do. Maybe the wife wants to do tests, the husband doesn't want to do. They're going and coming. 2, 3, 4, 5 years are going. People are womb watching. It is not a justification, but we need to understand there's a foundation to why we continuously have these issues around baby factories. If there is no demand, there'll be no supply.
If you're not going to sell any baby anywhere, why would you want to create it? And the stigma is usually around women. If it is now, they are told us that men have fertility issues too. I've heard of people whose husbands have 0 sperm count. Is azoospermia or something. But before, we never knew this thing was in existence.
It was always on the women's doorstep.
I know this person personally, she went through all sorts of terrible tests. They tell you when they wash their fallopian tube, they say it's a very agonizing treatment, all sorts of things. Not knowing that her husband has 0 sperm count. She was just checking their house one day and found the doctor's.
He didn't tell her.
From years. I'm talking about 15 years into her marriage.
So he watched her put herself through medical turmoil.
He put her through. She said he took her to Ghana, to those Ghanaian fertility doctors. She went through so many medical procedures. As I'm talking now, I think the man is late. He now had maybe diabetes and other complications. So she was in a marriage for like 21 years. That she ought not to have been. They could have adopted. They could have done.
If he was
another
surrogacy.
I don't think she had a problem with conceiving. But because of all the things they made her do, they probably have given her secondary infertility. Because they've washed her tubes, they've done also all sorts of things.
From the goal,
I advocate that as part of the marriage process, all of these tests should be done and should be made public, including paternity tests after the child is born, at least after every child. I feel like it should be mandatory because some of these things are unnecessary sufferings on the parties. If a child is born, do a paternity test. Before you get married, do a test to ascertain that both of you are okay to have children. So that even if you don't have, I'm not saying to put blames, but at least you know where the problem is.
Because the treatments for a man and a woman is different. So that you guys know how quickly you get
intervention.
Wow.
There's so many things happening.
That bugs me is, for example, a baby factory is busted. Where do they now put children?
Look at all those children that are even, they will now have those babies. and their lives have just changed forever. Many people don't even know that we that have had children, all of us, no matter how you are, your body, your life changes. Once a baby passes through your birth canal, there is no way your body is ever the same.
Yeah, you're going too far. Before the baby passes through the birth canal, when your spine starts to curve and your organs rearrange inside your stomach to accommodate a growing baby, your life is everything. I had back, see, this child, I tell her, sometimes when I have back pain, the mom is also, I say, it's you. It's you. The back pain has not gone.
Are we really going to get in there? The way the body shifts and
they don't know.
It's an issue. Some people have to actually be manually reset. It has to be.
And look at what
Blessings, open your ears. Some women go temporarily blind.
Yes.
Some women, their voices change. They never get it back.
Look at what Tolu said.
Firsthand.
Yes. Look at what Tolu said. This is even for normal pregnancies. Look at all these women. That means she might have a baby today. In another 2 months, they could have impregnated her again.
Yes.
That means her body did not rest.
Let their bodies rest.
And they are young. So imagine how much stress. Some of them can even die birthing the babies.
Yes.
Imagine having three babies in 3 consecutive years.
Back to back.
2 months. 2 months after you had the baby, somebody has come to copulate with her again. She's pregnant again.
And she doesn't have a choice.
You have to push the baby out, and the emotional detachment from the baby alone, the depression of having a baby taken away from you all the time, the numbness.
I think they just feel like after a while, the coping mechanism.
So weird.
How do you cope?
Look at it and detach yourself, and that's it. In their minds,
I don't think people are ready for trauma discussion.
No.
A lot of people do not understand what, especially trauma from a man's perspective, trauma from a woman's perspective is so different. These children will be traumatized.
Yeah.
They might not be, because some of them might not even be able to speak English. Imagine all those children that were brought from the village. They might only speak to them in their native tongue. So even to converse with a stranger, they might not know how to explain themselves. They might just say like this. Imagine somebody pregnant and just doing like this, auntie. You just think of them wanting to eat.
To see what people.
Let's take reactions to this story.
To hear what people have to say.
Please trace the beneficiaries. They're the reason this unholy business thrives. Exactly what we just said. Yeah. Mostly bought by childless couple or those wanting a particular gender, a form of adoption, albeit illegal. My question is, what are the sellers doing with the babies if bought from the baby factories? What do you think?
They are using that
Pure evil disguised in plain sight. Grateful to the Lagos State Police Command for rescuing the 11 victims and shutting down the horror in Ijegun. These criminals must face the full weight of the law. No excuses, no mercy. It's heart-wrenching that baby factories still exist in this day and age. Kudos to the Lagos Police for busting this operation and rescuing the victims. We need more focus on tackling these criminal networks and offering support for the victims. This is bad news, or that is bad news. I hope the victims and children are safe and receiving the necessary supports and care. The perpetrators of this crime must be brought to justice. Another baby factory for Lagos? When this wahala go end? Big ups to the police for quick action. And last one, birth rates aren't declining in Nigeria. Giving birth has simply become a business. Disturbing truth. Let's leave the reactions at that. It's a story that will continue. We'll reach out to Benjamin Hudaya and see if we can get him here to talk us through how this went down and also what people can do. Because that point that Lolo made was very important. If we see something, we have to say something. This was busted because of a tip. It was busted with the people there. But what about the babies that have already been sold? What about the girls who have already been raped? What about the people who've already bought? And we hope that they're able to track some of these parents, some of these individuals down who have bought these babies. But even in returning the babies, how do we empower these women? They have children that they probably did not want, that they didn't want at that point in time. And so if we're returning the babies to them, to be able to cut off that pipeline of trauma, cut off so that they don't carry the weights with them, we also need to make sure they're being empowered. It's just a sad situation. It's good that it's been a while since we heard the story. It doesn't mean that the numbers have reduced, but it's great to hear that the Lagos Police Command has done this and done this well. We give them kudos for that.
That's what I was asking, because returning the babies to them, imagine someone having 4 children and you don't even know who the fathers are.
They're just going to put the babies up at orphanages, and that would have been better. you go through the ropes, but at least you got your baby legitimately. There are a lot of conversations we're not ready for. Actually, in Africa, they still demonize, they still make you feel bad that the baby is not your own. Yeah. Even in homes, I've heard of in-laws that will say,
families,
from these new surrogacy levels, we've heard of parents, in-laws, that are saying, no, your wife did not have the baby. He didn't come from our womb, so I will not touch these children. They are not my grandchildren.
So husband and wife come together to hide, just so that it can be the truth. Yes, they can be palatably served to the family.
To the family.
So you see, they say, okay, go and disappear for a while, come back, let them.
Yeah, think you had the baby.
Like no, I can't talk.
I had an auntie that came to Nigeria. She got back to the US with a baby.
Oh,
eventually she told everybody at the end. I always respected her for that. It just was a process that she needed to be here for, to do the full adoption and everything. Okay, oh my God, we take a break, because if I launch this story, there's no stopping, especially Lolo. So stay with us. We'll bring you back one very special hot topic. So recently we shared a story that got the ladies riled up, but we didn't have a lot of time to get into it. So here's the summarized version. Basically, a man told his wife that he wanted a divorce. He told her that he would move out while financially supporting her and their 5 children. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children. She said, okay, only for him to wake up the next morning and she had left for Nigeria from the UK and taking the kids' passports with her while leaving the children with him. She sent him a text message saying that she was going to Nigeria and that the children would be with him. So he mentions that he's the one who sponsored her master's degree and even brought her to the UK. Now, since the wife left, he's been alone with their children, struggling to balance everything. He wrote that for the first few days, he was overwhelmed without her, and then he started running a temperature like he was falling sick. It was like he didn't exist outside of being a father. And the kids were throwing tantrums, leaving messes. He even felt like she had told the children to antagonize him as much as they could. And he also had to do late night feedings. He eventually caved and called his sister to step in. And she came in to help him, stayed with the kids, cleaned the house, and gave him time to catch up on some sleep. So he's been asking himself some questions. Is she not the woman in this marriage that should cater to the children? How do you leave 5 children with just him? What kind of woman does this? What kind of mother does this? And then he has also been praying to God to restore his marriage. Hello, hell. I'm done. This story, I told you guys, this story actually went into
new passports. Please, can you put that up again? Because now I'm interested to hear that. Because from complaining that where's my wife, complaining that, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm doing so many things. He has switched. Because now he's saying, okay, so I'm going to apply for new passports for these kids. I swear she's not going to see the kids again. Okay, she's a thief. I married a thief. So you see that switch of, oh my God, she did this. Oh, I'm overwhelmed. My sister had to come in and save me. So now you shift the blame. You are playing victim. You have marinated into the victim seat, and now you are blaming and saying she's a thief. Do you know she stole £3,000 from my account? Do you know she did?
So the thing is, picture everything you went through, but without the assistance of your sister, because everybody will expect her to be able to take care of the children. So she would have
not her children. Why was she going to need help for them?
I don't understand in the first place. You see, this care gap that women feel from centuries over, men have gotten to this sense of entitlement that they believe that your children is yours to nurture and care for because you are a woman. No. We care for our children because we are the parents. It's supposed to be a joint work. But because women have taken it upon themselves, do they know how hard? No. My son came back from school. Mom in my ear. I just did while I was bringing him home. When I get home, and he knows my soft side. They know when they put health in front. I'm totally scattered. When he passes, he'll put cotton wool in his ear. One big fat cotton wool that is bigger than his ear. So I want to do like this. Your ear is still paining you. But a lot of men just do not appreciate what women bring to the table indeed. Just a few days, see how his own life has unraveled. What do you want to say to us who have to have our children with us on a daily basis? My kids live with me. I don't despise their dad. He's an awesome man. But my children are with me. I can't take a break. I can't take holiday. So your own children are with you just for a few days. You are losing your hair. What do you think happens to us when 4 of my children come home at the same time, and they have needs, they have emotional needs, they have physical needs, they have psychological needs. Even my children don't have
so mommy on me. I would have come right to give you high five.
And he's now talking like he did something bad. This man is talking from the position of, you did this to hurt me.
He did it, but he was
but you were willing to do that
to do the same thing.
Beat him to it.
But you know what? Let me tell you something. Even though he was trying to do the same thing, for her, it likely would not have changed. Why? Because this man comes across as somebody who was a detached parent. He was not a present father. She's been doing all of this, so he didn't even know. He doesn't know the magnitude of the checklist that lives in her head. The magnitude of the checklist that lives in my head. So, do you understand?
So that's the point I want to make. I think that right now, as women and mothers, I'm a mother as well, I think we should stop mentioning this question of what do you bring to the table. Yeah. Women will say things like, oh, I birthed the children.
Our women know to break the table.
Yeah, so women say things like, I take care of the children. I think we should stop it. Yeah. Because we have enabled the men to think that taking care of the children is the women's responsibility. And so you have to think of what they will eat. You have to know it should be a joint responsibility. And now it's still strange to a lot of people that some people in their marriages are splitting responsibility. Yes. They have a timetable. You cook for the children today. You take the children to school. You decide what they will eat. You bathe the child. As simple as that is, it's still alien to a lot of people. Why will a man be bathing a child? We need to stop
I've seen a man that they left his baby with. When the baby poo-pooed, he didn't even know what to, he carried a little baby and went to put under the tap. Almost drowning the baby so that the poo-poo, the water can wash out the poop without him having to touch it.
No, hold on. Let me take this one.
We ourselves. That your baby can poop in your hand. You know how you hold the baby against your running tap so that do you know the force of the water? The baby was screaming. Because we mothers, if I'm putting my baby, you will cradle the baby like this, holding the baby, because the water is a force. It can actually weigh on the back of the baby so that you can use your hand to wash out the... But you know when somebody holds his baby by the 2 hands, oh my God, that baby is doing like this. And when they are small, we will think of the temperature changes. So you want to wash their bum with maybe tepid water or warm water.
So all these things should also be taught to the men.
No, that is your responsibility.
When women come for Omugo, I think maybe fathers should also, or women should come for Omugo and teach both the men and the women, because I'm tired of hearing. I was watching a reality show, and then the guy was telling his wife that he's ready for another child. And the wife was like, okay, fine, hold this doll. Gave him a doll, and he held it like, just imagine the doll poop. Like, ew, that's why you're not having another child.
So I think also part of this conversation, and it's been a conversation trending on social, is women also, when you're empowered, you need to start thinking about the person you want to have a child with. Who is that person? And you have a situation where now, so the research says a lot of it, in the West anyway, a lot more women are the ones who initiate divorces. And then for many men, the divorce comes out of left field. Why does it come out of left field? It comes out of left field because you left a plate. There was a story one guy posted a long time ago. He said, my wife left me after I left a plate in the sink. Why? After she has cleaned the kitchen, the plate is in the sink. My wife left me after I dropped a sock.
You get reactions.
It is accumulation.
You get quick reactions because we can't come back to this story.
It is accumulation of small things that you've been doing. We live together. I should not tell you what you have to do. You should use your eyes to see what needs to be done. Reactions. You wanted to leave her with 5 kids and move on with your life. Do you know the sacrifices she has made, the things she has lost, her sanity, her time, just to make sure the family is intact? Since you don't need her, then raise your kids and see if it's an easy job for her. All you are thinking of is yourself and not her or your kids. You miss the babysitter and nanny work she was doing. You don't even love her. Next. Who suffers here, man, woman, or the kids? Kids, the most important people, not the man, not the woman, nothing to celebrate.
Okay, we hear you, sir.
It's not about man, and I encourage all women on this earth to do this. If a man asks for divorce, leave the kids with him. If a woman asks for divorce, leave the kids with her unless you want custody of the child. If you don't, leave them for whoever initiates the divorce. You broke your words and she left, so how is that her fault? Now you know what it feels like to raise 5 kids. Say you think she was playing soccer or juggling football. Even brotherhood is proud of her. There are situations where men will come home to stay-at-home moms and say, what have you been doing all day?
Guys,
and sometimes some people that initiate divorce are trying to not just divorce the woman but also the children. They want
so that
nothing
they can
to
have
do with
their
the family,
lives.
so they can start all over. There's no starting all over for you, brother.
No, but it's no. For a man, if you're divorced, if the kids are with you, the man is practically single. Any woman that comes to his house meets the house with nobody.
With the woman, you mean?
Yes, I'm with the woman.
Yeah, that's
but
what
if
I'm
it is
saying.
with the man, you are with your kids. You can't swallow them, can you?
No, but that's another
Good
thing.
riddance.
God, they suffer, they go.
Take responsibility of your actions. Because she beat you to it doesn't now mean
She's
that
crying,
you
wolf up
claim
and
the
down.
higher moral ground and saying that you are the victim here. She did this, she did that, just because she left you. Guys, suck it up. These are your kids as well. 5 children, 1 person.
And for the person saying who is
Come on.
suffering, is it the kid? Why should the kids suffer? They're with their father.
They're with their father.
They're being taken care of. Is that
Why
suffering?
should they suffer?
On top of that, after organizing 5 children plus her work, plus the house, they are still telling her to go into the room. I want to show you something.
Show what? Catherine, let's go home.